questions, type in the, where's the chat gone? Yeah, type in the chat bit underneath. I think it's, have you guys got the chat bit? Yeah.
No, wait.
No.
Oh, you have to press the 3 dots and then it will pull up. It will say disconnect audio, chat, enable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got that?
Yeah.
Amazing. So I'm going to mute everyone, and then you guys can just, any questions, just type away, because I will ask you guys, yeah, I will ask you guys some questions, so you can just answer it in the chat. So let me mute you guys. We don't have any.
And we will unmute at the end. Okay, is that the last person?
I don't know. People just keep coming in.
Okay, well,
I'll
we're just going to carry on, and we'll
Yeah.
admit as they go.
Amazing.
Okay, cool. But first of all, thanks to everybody that's tuned in. It's really appreciated.
Yeah. No, thank
And
you
if we
so
can
much.
give something back to you guys that can help create catalysts for change in your lives, then, you know, I feel like we're doing something
Yeah.
for the better then.
Yeah, we're really trying to build this community of like coming through everything together. It's a hard time at the moment. Obviously, we're in lockdown in the UK, and it's just been a crazy year, would I say the least. So yeah, for everyone, it's like, well, there's nothing else to do apart from work on ourselves. So this is what we're doing. Like we've been doing ever since we've met, like going through this process that we're about to teach you. There she is. Yes. Yeah, we're going to go through the processes that we came into our awakening to become more conscious, and yeah, just how it helped us. We want to share it with you guys. So this is our self-transformation course. This is our first masterclass, and yeah, we're just going to go through each section of our course step by step, and let you guys know a little bit more of a deeper understanding of what this self-transformation course will do for you guys. So let's get rid of this.
So should we start off with an introduction into what self-transformation is? Do you want to start there?
Off. What happened?
Okay, cool.
Let there be light.
So yeah, we don't want it to be too serious. Just stay open-minded, and we have a bit of a laugh as we go with it.
Yeah, amazing.
So we're going to start off with an introduction of what self-transformation is. So self-transformation, really, in a nutshell, is to sort of activate our own awakenings. And to activate our own awakenings, you know, it's about putting out self-understanding. Now, with self-understanding, with implementation of knowledge, whenever you learn something, it's then putting that knowledge to work to help change your life, to use that knowledge to work for you in your life. And so what actually happens is, as we go into this process of activating our own awakening, activating our own healing, and by integrating information, taking on information, then we can begin to implement that in our lives. And as we begin to become more attuned to who we really are, which means as we become more in alignment with who we are, then we can our life will start working for us. And as it begins to work for us, we'll start to have purpose in our life. We'll start to feel connected. We'll start to feel like, you know, that our life will begin to have direction. It will begin to expand. Most of us are living on like repeat, like we're reliving the same cycles, reliving the same experiences, and our lives become stagnant, like they're not actually going anywhere. And that's because we haven't expanded past what's confining us. We haven't expanded past our beliefs. So, you know, transformation in a nutshell it really is about activating awakening and using information that we're going to give and implementing it for your own change.
Yeah, and it's just really for us becoming more conscious of our behaviors, our thought system, everything that goes on within us. We need to be more aware, bring more awareness into our lives. So yeah, it's just this, we can't change something unless we know what to change, you know. So just to go through the process to find out where your thoughts come from, to find out what is in your emotions. It's a really deep understanding, and once we go deep, we can understand, and then we bring up to the surface everything that's holding us back, all of our fears, all of our worries, all of our guilt, all of everything, so then we can see them. So at least when we see them and we become conscious of them, we can change them. Because yeah, like I said, we cannot live unconsciously anymore. We can't just keep doing things on autopilot. We have to start being conscious, like conscious living. And yeah, when you're more conscious and you're more aware, you can literally steer your life in the right direction. When you're conscious and you're aligned to your and you've done your healing, you're aligned to your truth, and literally like the inspiration, like the universe starts working for you, literally starts working for you. Things, you become your own manifestor, own creator of your own reality. And that is really like,
I mean, there's so much information out there now about, you know, manifesting and alignment and higher selves, but there's no actual, we really wanted to put something together, the blueprint of how this all comes together. So you can be in, because this is an achievable state. You can be in a state where you are in a state of peace and contentment 24/7, where a natural joy is flowing through you, where you're connected to purpose, you're connected to source, you're able to feel love, you're able to express love, you're able to be connected with other people. Like, I'm experiencing this in my life, like, and the relationship that I have with Lauren is like on another level. We're together 24/7, and it's so blissful because we're so connected, we're so unified in our understandings, that we're so connected to the source of consciousness itself, to the source of life. We have both realized life, both realized the source. And because we're both connected to that, there is such a harmony. And I mean, like, when we talk about divine union, and we have our Instagram account, that's Divine Union. We call it divine because we've both realized the divine within us. We've both realized the source of life within us. And so that harmonizes us together. We're in harmony. We're in a harmonized state. And that harmonized state, there's so much passion and purpose and love that flows through us. You know, when I first met Lauren and I found out she was a Reiki master, and the fact that I was a mindfulness and meditation teacher, like, the coming together was just, it was such a powerful thing. You know, and now it's about us putting our teachings together and creating one teaching that we can both teach from, but allow that information to be passed on to others. And then to be that open channel, to be transparent to life, so life can flow through us, so life can, you know, aid and teach and help others recognize life within you. I can't really teach you anything. I can only, or we can only really put the information out there that actually triggers you to realize the information that is already in you. You all have this information within you.
To help you remember
it's for
who
us
you
to help
are,
activate that in you.
Help you guys remember who you are, so then you can come into alignment. And definitely, like, throughout this course, later on down the line, we're going to be going a bit more into how Reiki and meditation helped us in our own journeys, and how it can help you in yours. And I know I sent you guys a message about our class on Sundays, and yeah, it's just, even you coming to just for one session, just to see how to access this state of being in the consciousness, in the light, in that peace, in that harmony where we all want to be, to activate it and to just feel it for that 1 hour. And it might take some practice, but when you're there in that, in knowing that you can access that, will give you like the tool to actually keep going, because that is our true state of being. It's just everything else, our day-to-day, everything that distracts us from that is that where it's off alignment. So it's just finding that safe space within you, that love, that peace, that contentment within you, and then just working on it and practicing it to let it come into your everyday life. And definitely, like, through Reiki, moving energy, like, it's really, I mean, I couldn't even recommend it enough. And I know a lot of my clients on here as well can say the same. They can vouch for me that it just works. We don't know how it works. It just works. It brings in the light, and trust you to do that. It brings in the light and just helps you shift the unwanted energies, basically. So yeah.
So here's the question I'm going to put out there. How many people out there experience negative thinking or experience negative thoughts? I mean, it's not even really a question I should be asking, because I already know the answer to it. I feel like, you know, when we're talking about mental health, when we're talking about anxiety, when we're talking about depression, what we're really dealing with is we're dealing with heavy negative emotion and the associations of negative thoughts, negative beliefs. But here's the question that I pose to everybody that's joined us on the chat, is how many of us are actually challenging or trying to understand where these negative thoughts and these negative emotions are coming from? Instead, most of us are trying to escape our reality. We're trying to escape our experiences. But really, when you take accountability, when you begin this questioning, when you actually begin to question yourself, like, you know, for me, like, I was like 29 years old and I was still feeling and thinking of myself as being unworthy. I'm unworthy, like, nobody cares, like, having these negative thoughts. But what I was doing for 29 years is I was actually staying in these thoughts, like, identified with these thoughts. Like, these thoughts were making up who I believed myself to be. But after my awakening, I began to question this identity. And so as you begin to question your identity, what you're really doing, and we're going to teach how you actually do this, the actual steps for doing this, is you're actually coming into these negative thoughts, you're coming into these negative emotions, and you're beginning to trace back to the roots of when you started to feel this, when you started to identify yourself as unworthy. And then once you trace back into that and you become conscious, you're getting to the root of it. Now, once you get to the root of that belief, which is generally an experience, you've generally experienced it, and it generally always comes back to childhood. But once you trace back that root and you get to the root of it, then you can see where it come from. And by tracing the root back, you can let it go. You can heal that part. And now that unhealed aspect of you, which you've been carrying for 29 years, identifying with unworthiness. Once I got back there and I traced it and I realized it and I understood where it come from, I was able to release it. Now, as I release that emotion, now in my adult life, I'm no longer carrying the belief of being unworthy. So what I pose to you is, when you're having these negative experiences, when you're having these negative thoughts and these negative emotions or these negative situations that are triggering in your life, that triggers your opportunity to learn something about yourself.
Let life just be the lesson. If you look at life and change your perspective, life can teach you everything that you need to know, everything. When you start looking at your situations, anything that you're experiencing as a lesson to you, rather than like what you're projecting and what you're experiencing getting projected to you, you're actually seeing it as a mirror. You're using the tools of everything you're experiencing, realizing that everything outside of you is just a reflection of what's going on within. And when you start realizing that and making that conscious, when someone triggers you, you go like, okay, well, that person's triggering me. It's so easy to blame, or defend yourself, which is what we normally do out of human instincts. We tend to do that straight away, unconsciously. But if you can actually take a moment and be like, okay, that's hit a nerve. That is hit a nerve. That is hit a trigger. And then go into that trigger of what does it feel like? This is where we can just learn from absolutely everything. And it ends up being like, once you do it a couple of times, it's like a roll-on effect, isn't it? It's like bam, 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 bam.
And the reason why I would tell you this is such important work to do is because there's a part of you which I will call the subconscious mind. Now, your subconscious mind is where all of your programs and all of your beliefs come from. Now, in your subconscious mind is literally creating your reality. So if we look at our childhood, when we began to program our subconscious mind, this is when we began to add beliefs of not being good enough, right? Now, that belief is an emotionally charged belief. If you don't go in and rewrite that belief and release the energy contained within it, you are now drawing onto experiences where you're going to feel unworthy, because there's an emotion attached. That emotion is drawing in the same frequency. So you're now having experiences that are verifying your belief. You're not having an experience of feeling unworthy. You're going, yeah, I feel unworthy. Life's telling me I feel unworthy. Well, life's only telling you you're feeling unworthy because you believe you're unworthy. So this is why it's so important. If we want to change our lives, we don't have to do nothing in the world. I mean, your purpose you will fall into alignment where you're acting and moving in alignment with yourself, but your reality doesn't change by changing the external. Your reality becomes changed by unplugging yourself from everything that's holding you back, that you've held on to internally. So that, that in a nutshell, this is really the work. This is really the work that, if you stay with me and Lauren, that you're going to really understand the process of inner child work, inner child healing, shadow work, but then also what alignment's about, what life's about, what consciousness is about, how to find yourself in union with yourself, that you're lighting up your life. And not only you lighten up your life, you're lighting up your loved ones, you're lighting up everybody that comes into contact with you is feeling, because you're different. It's not that you're like special, it's the fact that you've moved yourself away from what a normal human being is identified with, what a normal human being is attached to. And this is what we need now as human beings. We need more people that are moving beyond these ideas and these beliefs and these associations of rejection, of unworthiness, of lack. All of these is making up the human condition, the idea that you are separate from everybody else.
So we are going to show you.
Right, okay, right, be prepared, right? Because we're about to go really deep for the next 10 minutes, like off the scale deep. Let's just be aware of that.
With our drawings, we are going to share our screen with you guys, because we made these today, so bear with us, they're a little bit rough.
Yes, they haven't come.
Right.
So let's just get our
Can you
screen
see
up.
us? Yes. Okay, cool.
Right. Okay, so actually, for a minute, I just want to if we can just go back for just 1 minute before we go
Yeah,
into
right,
this
right.
diagram.
Mhm.
Okay, so let me describe something. Now, I can sit here and I can say to you about God or about creation or about consciousness. I can use all of these fancy words, but these are all fancy words. So what I want to do is I want to demonstrate in your experience how we can begin to recognize that just maybe that we are actually life itself. So I want you to come down to your direct reality, which is everything in your environment. So if we just take ourselves out of the picture for a minute and we just look
At life itself.
at life itself.
Literally, like, this is our little diagram of if you like put yourself out into the universe and you're looking at the planet, and actually going into what consciousness is. I mean, there's so many different value, like people
Yeah.
say what consciousness is, whatever. This is like our teaching, what we've come to know, and how this has helped us understand everything. And obviously I work with Reiki, and consciousness in Reiki, Reiki is life force energy, and that is what consciousness is. We're bringing in that consciousness and that life force energy, which created the whole of the universe, the earth, everything it created the earth. So we go down from consciousness, which created earth, which created the universe, which created life itself. And then that life then evolved to animals, and then the animals then evolved to humans. And this is where the human became aware of itself. And this was the first realization. Animals never had that self-awareness. They are aware of everything that's going on around them, and they act in instincts and awareness like that, but they're not aware of themselves, if you know what I mean. So they can't look in the mirror and check themselves out.
They're not going to start like designing like aeroplanes and stuff like that. Only human beings possess this quality.
Yeah, so man come conscious, self-conscious. And obviously, you know, we obviously use that term, oh, I'm really self-conscious, I'm self-conscious. This is because we have created, from the man being self-conscious, it has actually separated him from consciousness. He then
from life,
separated him from life itself.
Yeah.
And yeah, you go and you're really good at explaining.
So let me just, so before we go into self-consciousness, so I just want you to just acknowledge that you are life, because if you look around all of the life forms, the plants, you know, even all of these people, there's like 25 people in this chat, right? We've all got these different identities, but behind everything is life. If you can see life outside of you as one magnificent intelligence, I mean, what's beating your heart, renewing your body? Even if you call that evolution, evolution is still a much more greater intelligence than our personal identity. So if you can't verify God, or you don't want to use the idea of God or consciousness or anything like that, come down to reality where we can actually verify and identify that there is a much greater intelligence at work here. And then just one other thing before we move into self-consciousness is, if you was to remove human beings off this planet and you was to just look at life, you would see how magnificent and how intelligent life is. I mean, look how many different life forms, look at the diversity, look at how intelligent and how everything works as the whole evolutionary cycle. Everything works to benefit. The system is a constant state of expansion. And that expansion is what drove life forms from little, let's say, cells in the ocean to animals coming onto land. And then, but this is where the evolutionary step took its gigantic leap. So from an animal, we had a human being. But what happened with a human being was a human being becomes self-conscious. But he didn't become conscious of himself as life. He became conscious of himself as a mind and body. So this is what we've all done. We've all woken up in this reality, and we're able to verify our experience. So now we say, oh yeah.
Now, the fact that our brains can't even comprehend the amount of intelligence in consciousness, our brains are like working on like 1% compared to everything else. So our brains couldn't actually have the capacity to understand everything. So from when man actually came to Earth, it was just like, it's now learning about himself, which obviously that was the evolution of man. And where we are now, like, obviously carry on what you were saying, just it's just that our brains couldn't actually hold all of that information at that time. So we've had to grow up into that.
So here's the thing, coming back onto self-consciousness. So we woke up and we realized that we exist. We realized that we're alive, but what we actually realized ourselves as is a mind and body. Now, as we realized ourselves as mind and body, this began to create all of this here that I'm circling here. So we had self-awareness. We become aware of our mind and body. We become aware of existence. But the main driving focus for us in this realization was survival and comfort. But because we woke up in the mind and body, we also come into the idea of separation. Separation led to personal identity. So now we have all of these, you know, I refer myself to David, and I would have said I was a bodybuilder, I had 2 children. So I was referring myself as my personal identity. But also as we wake up in life, we also have the fear of death, because we believe that once our experience is over, we no longer choose to exist. We no longer, or we cease to exist. Okay, so this is the illusion that we come under. We come under this illusion. And then it's from this illusion that survival and comfort become the #1 driving forces in our lives. Now, the problem with survival, especially if we're born into, like, say, for instance, we're born into a family, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, as most children are, we're not accepted for who we are. We are taught to fit into society. Due to that survival, due to the comfort, the driving focus is for us to conform, for us to fit in. So as children, you know, our parents drive us into survival, into conforming. And so we begin to lose our separate identity, but from that separate identity comes all of our traumas, all of our beliefs that we're not wanted. And it's these beliefs of not being wanted that separates us from that one-to-one interaction and connection with other human beings. We're going to go into that, into the next slide. But all of these ideas, these negative beliefs we have about ourselves, they all collect up in this collective consciousness. So I'm going to quickly touch upon this, because everybody thinks, no, if you have a belief and you think you're unworthy, or you think you're not good enough, you think that belief belongs to you personally. Well, that belief doesn't belong to you personally. That belief is actually here in the collective consciousness. It's just you're pulling that belief into you. And so everybody that is in this awareness of themselves as just the mind and body is pulling from the beliefs of separation. This is where humanity is at the moment. We are in this state of separation, separate from each other. But here's the beautiful thing. This is what me and Lauren are creating, is this part here. Healing and understanding. This is the activation of your own awakening.
Yeah, through, oh, press the wrong one.
Let's come back to that.
How did that do it? Okay,
Yeah.
wicked. So yes, through obviously realization, the fact that, I mean, obviously all of us here are now questioning, is this it? Is this collective consciousness all there is? Everything I know, everything I've been through, every experience I've had, is this it? So now we are starting to question, we are elevating in the game. As you probably know, you guys, like, this, everyone, you know, this whole shift, this new earth. I know, you know, anyone that's come to this page or even follows our both of our pages know that there's something going on. There's a shift in consciousness, there's a shift in awareness, and people are starting to awaken, they're starting to remember, they're starting to know that, wait a minute, I'm not going to follow the sheep, I'm going to actually do what I believe is right for me. And they start discovering themselves. So when this activation starts happening, because obviously the whole collective consciousness has started to raise its vibration anyway, so it's starting to awaken people within this collective consciousness. So it's now coming into questioning. We are now questioning and wanting to understand and start healing our anything that's holding us back,
well,
our conditions,
we're healing
all of this survival and the fear and everything that that we hold as a human, that we've been embedded in with our DNA. It's now time for us to really understand and start healing our chakras. And these are the chakra systems. We've got the root, we've got the sacral, we've got the solar plexus, we've got the heart, we've got the throat, we have the third eye, and then we have the crown chakra. And that crown chakra is what connects us to consciousness. It connects us to the pure consciousness, not the collective consciousness. It goes through that and it connects us straight to the consciousness of everything, of life force energy. And this is what we use during Reiki to help align our and rebalance our chakras, to help get rid of all of these lower vibrations that we came into form with, to existence, with these 3 dense vibrations, which we'll go to in the next slide. But once we align all our chakras and come into that alignment, we start awakening and we start remembering who we are, which is this pure energy of life force. That's what we are. And then once we remember, and everything that us guys that are, even us being on this chat, us talking about this, we're connected because we're awakening, and everything we're learning is getting put back in to the collective consciousness. So now the collective consciousness, every time, it's like the 100-person effect, isn't it? Every time someone wakes up in that collective consciousness, it then gets replanted into, it goes into the consciousness, and then we feed the collective consciousness back in, and it's going to just be raising and raising and raising. So, this has happened a lot, very fast, actually, the last couple of years. As more
people awaken, the collective consciousness, which is under the illusion of a separate identity, the collective consciousness begins to clear out. As the collective consciousness begins to clear out, that means now more people are able to receive and download and understand and process this information, which is what's happening right now.
Yeah, and us guys, the more we do our own work, the more we help the collective. And the people that aren't even doing any work, they'll suddenly understand things that, you know, you might even realize, talking to your brothers, sisters, friends, that people are just like on that wavelength, and it's just, we're actually activating that wavelength, and it's pushing up. So yeah, we're over talking now, so we've got to go to the.
But as we go on to the next slide, just take one thing away, that just being open to this information is doing its work already in you. Even if you can't consciously understand it, in the subconscious, on the deeper levels, this work is already going to work. So that's why I say, just be easy with it.
So this guy,
another one of our good diagrams. We've got a pair of legs in this time.
So we have consciousness and awareness. Obviously, we were saying about consciousness. It is pure awareness, being conscious of what our thoughts are, what our actions are, what our emotions are, just becoming more aware of ourselves. And that is really what we're doing here. But our body right now is made up of.
So here we've got this diagram, this pyramid diagram, and this is basically how you interpret your experiences and how you create your reality. The difference is, are you doing it consciously or are you doing it unconsciously? So I'm going to show you exactly how this works. So this is the human program, ego identity, or unconscious conditioning. Just take a minute to just take this in as I talk it through. So the first thing that happens with our body is we have the environments and the experiences. So your environment is your reality around you, and your experiences is what's happening within that environment. Okay, so your body, which is on the next level, is relating to the environment, and it's when we're relating to the environment that we have emotions. So say, for instance, if I use a demonstration that, you know, child's running around, mum and dad scream and shout. That child then, if mum and dad are shouting, mum and dad are expressing an emotion. That child's body then reads the emotion, and the child's body has an emotion of itself. Now, the ability to recognize and to be self-conscious allows us to interpret these experiences. So now we're adding thought. So we have the environment, we have the body, and we have the mind. The body and the mind, which is the thoughts and the emotions, they are creating your beliefs. Yeah, so your experiences create emotions. When you add thought to your experience, you then create a belief. A belief, if told enough, so let me say, if you're walking, when you first start walking, you have to be conscious of what you're doing. So you have to do repetition. After repetition of being conscious of doing it, it then becomes a belief. It then becomes programmed in your subconscious mind. Now, you don't need to think about walking anymore. You just do it naturally. So, but this subconscious mind is where all of our beliefs are. But it's the subconscious mind that's creating our reality. So we need to understand the pillars of how these work. So basically, in a nutshell, your reality is created by your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is created by your beliefs. Your beliefs are created by your thoughts and your emotions, which give off your feelings. But your thoughts and emotions are created by your experiences, and your experiences take place in the environment. So I hope you really understand that.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, but yeah, you guys are more than welcome to screenshot this lovely diagram that we actually created. But this is obviously the reason I've done this. The black lines and we've put unconscious conditioning is because what we see from the ages of 5 to 8, where our programs, where our subconscious mind starts programming things, it starts becoming, you know, what creates our reality. And the the childhood conditioning is really a big factor. We are going to go into that later on in another class about how much this really does program us. But the main thing is that like it's automatic response. So, you know, our eye, this is how we see the world. And if something triggers us, and like we were saying earlier about any triggers that affect, you know, that we see in our environment, we create these experiences. So like I was even talking to your son earlier, because remember he was saying that he gets really scared. He always had a bad experience, like falling off a bike or something. Because I said to him, "Oh, do you ride a bike?" Like, and he was just like, "Oh, no, I would never do that." And he won't go on roller coasters. He's just got a proper fear, and he's only what, 9? Yeah. He's 9 years old, and he's got a really strong fear on like anything that's gonna that he fears. So yeah, he doesn't want to ride a bike. He doesn't want to go on a fast ride. Doesn't want to go roller coaster because he's fearing. Obviously, like the most common fear is death. He's fearing not feeling safe. He's fearing not. He's fearing his own survival. And so what happens when our bodies, because even animals, they're exactly the same as us in this. We have these fight or flight instincts that come in from our environment, and it's like bam, something triggers us that makes us feel unsafe. It's like it triggers this fight or flight response. And these are automatic, like they're unconscious as well. You don't even know it's happening. But our bodies don't know how to relate to an actual threat in the environment if we aren't safe. So you can, you know, like back in the day, past generations, war, for example, we don't know, like, you know, war happened. You are literally, your life is in threat. Yes, that is a good time to run or shut off and to have that fear, because that fear protects us. It shuts us off, and it also makes us run. But if it's an emotional, if we're sooner, because we are humans, we are not animals, we have emotions. So if the threat in the environment is actually an emotional threat, so it's our parents yelling, and I think my dad's actually on this chat, but my dad's yelled at me a few times when I was younger, and I remember how scared I was. And as soon as I felt that fear and I was scared, it's like the automatic response is to shut off. It's like fight or flight. So you either defend yourself and fight yourself back, which I definitely do I did in my later days. But when I was a kid, I used to just shut up, like be quiet, and then shut myself off. And then I'd go run in my room and just shut myself off. And this happens when we're younger. We end up not then doing anything that could potentially be a threat. So for your child's sake, it was he now doesn't want to go on roller coasters, he doesn't want to go on a bike, and I'm like, but you're stopping yourself from having fun. Like there's positive experiences when you're riding a bike and having, you know, going on roller coasters, but because it's our actual instinct and he doesn't understand this, that he actually is safe, it's just those impulses that we need to know and become aware of what is our coping mechanism, like our survival instinct, or what is emotionally related. And like I said, as soon as if this is an emotional threat, that we are still doing the same thing as animals do, is that we feel the fear, we shut ourselves off, because our feelings here are feeling like we can't be who we are. We're feeling, if our parents shout at us or they do something that can harm us or whatever, it makes a shut off from love, and it makes a shut off from our consciousness. It makes a shut off from everything. And this is what happens, and you end up being in a state, and you take this state throughout into adulthood as well, because these experiences end up storing in our subconscious through memory. So memory is not on this diagram, but our experience do get stored. So now anytime like we relate to, like I said about your child, it's like as soon as I say, let's go on a bike or let's go to Thorpe Park or something, he's like, no. Suddenly that fear, your body automatically relates to that experience. To the experience, yeah. So then that's when so it obviously goes in as an emotion, it creates a feeling of fear, then it becomes like a belief, and then he'll probably carry this until he really understands that the subconscious mind and the programming that we've had throughout our life of all of our experiences, good or bad, there's positives as well to this, to our bodies, but any of these bad negative thoughts, negative beliefs that we have about ourselves have all come from this conditioning, and all come from this this unconscious conditioning, sorry, and it's been stored in our memories. So yeah, every time we see something that's a threat, like I said, it goes back, and you're in that same cycle. And this is the cycle that we really want to break and heal. So it comes on to.
But this is really this diagram. As you can see, we've changed the colour of the lines, and the lines are now coming from conscious awareness, which means we're beginning to question our reality. We're beginning to question our triggers. We're no longer staying in the triggers. We're no longer identifying with identity of a lot of us are carrying victimhood identity, where we believe that we're the victim of circumstances. So at this point, when we come into healing, we no longer carry on being the program. We no longer carry on allowing ourselves to experience thoughts as they are and experience emotions as they are. This is when we actually begin to question our whole reality. It's when we begin to question our whole identity, our whole sense of self.
Yeah.
So look.
So I actually want to ask you guys now, can you guys, I'm going to read this chat quick, try and find the root every time something triggers me. Yeah, I want you guys, because we always I want to start with like a negative thought. If any of you are experiencing, so I know I feel bad about shouting at my 7-year-old, but it's finding ways to get his attention and to concentrate when I need him to. You understand that big time. But I want, I'm glad the diagram makes sense, Sophie. But yeah, guys, if you have any reoccurring negative thoughts or beliefs or anything, put it in the chat, because then we can show you how our bodies actually process. Keep the chat up.
So, really, the reprogramming is to become more conscious. So the more conscious we become, the more aware we become of our thoughts, the more aware of our emotions we become. Only when we begin to challenge ourselves can we begin to change anything. Unless this fundamental principle happens in your life, unless you're willing to take the steps necessary for you to understand yourself, and if you're all here, you're all ready for that step, this is when you begin to change your life. So this is life changing. This is literally
every single
day. Every day the main focus. The main focus of your life is to become so conscious that not one thought can arise within you without you knowing where it comes from. This is the pinnacle. This is where your life, and I mean your life, is truly changing. So we're going to go to the next one. This is what
I want to quickly elaborate this a little bit more. Obviously, here we are. This line here is now. So what this one, obviously this is unconscious conditioning. Yeah, it's black. It's kind of, you don't know where it's come from. Some of the conditioning has come from our parents. Some of the conditioning has come from generational DNA. It's in our blood. Like, it's the animal instincts. It's the animal survival that's in our nature. So it's automatic response. So this is all unconscious stuff. So the next one is where we bring consciousness and awareness into our program now. So the healing process is to really, like David said, it's bringing that awareness to every trigger, every negative thought. I'm just, it's just emotion. From now on, like, this is like, I'm going to give you guys a bit of homework till next week, and let me know if you guys are actually going through this process of, as soon as someone triggers you, I always say journal, because journaling it helps me, it helps you, and it's helping my clients who I'm seeing currently at the moment. And journaling a reoccurring negative thought, that's what I was going to say. If you guys want to share in the chat, you're more than welcome. Any negative thought that's reoccurring, a common fear that you have, like a fear that you want to release. Any guilt, like you said, you maybe feel guilty about shouting at your children. It could be the smallest of things. Guys, let me know, because I can help you sort of see where this has come from. But yeah, just every trigger, make conscious. Every thought that you don't like, positive thoughts, all good, leave them there, they're all good. But any negative thought that comes up, even if it's a negative thought about yourself, if you look in the mirror and you go, oh, I'm so ugly, or you go, oh, I'm so fat, or write it down, be like, whoa, I've had quite a few of those thoughts today.
Where did that come from?
Who? Identify where these thoughts, make conscious. You're bringing consciousness now and awareness into your responses, into your environment, into your responses, how your thoughts, anything, how you feel. Start making things conscious.
The thing is, what you're doing is, when you begin to challenge your emotions and your thoughts, you're beginning to penetrate this point here.
Which is the subconscious mind.
This is the most important part. This is But the thing is, the subconscious mind is, you're not conscious, you're not aware of where your programs come from. You're not aware of where your negative beliefs or your negative thoughts are coming from, because you haven't come into this subconscious mind. Now, the reason, this is what we do when we come or withdraw from a situation and we use the emotion is what takes us into the subconscious. So when we begin to feel the emotions, question ourselves, we come into this subconscious mind, and then we begin to find our programmings. This is where you change your reality. By shifting these programs, this automatically begins to change.
Yeah.
So this is,
and we're saying about the subconscious mind and your memories, obviously everything's stored in your memory. It takes, you know, everyone says like about and this is what I was actually thinking about last night. I shared it with you at probably like 6 in the morning. I was
crazy download times, like 7 o'clock this morning, like, Dave, I've got to tell you something.
Me to understand it more was like, you know, where we say about like it takes like 21 days. I don't know exactly, don't hold me to this, but 21 days to create a habit. So for example, this one, putting down the toilet seat, it took him at least 3 weeks to actually put the toilet seat down, because he was so used to, from a kid, he was like, with all the boys, he always used to leave the toilet. No one ever made him conscious of it. So he always left the toilet seat up. And that annoyed me, because in my house, my mum always put the toilet seat down. So we like reprogrammed that, didn't we? And he forgot all the time, continuously.
I even wrote on the toilet seat, put the toilet seat down
until he remembered, because it was like this conscious programming. We had to reprogram the subconscious mind, which that it was just so unconscious. No matter how much we talked about it, he still was doing it. So I'm like, well, and we realize now, it's like, it really does take practice, guys, like to become aware and to reprogram and start healing these unconscious beliefs about yourself, or this programming. You have to give it like time, because time, patience and perseverance. And if you write them down right now on a bit of paper, they will get you. It will just help you. Anytime you feel like I can't do this anymore, have patience, have perseverance, and just keep going, because you will. It's the more you do it, the more you're reprogramming your subconscious. But it takes time.
Even as a really simple example, I've changed my reality, because I never ever leave the toilet seat up now. Every time I go, I never leave it. I never leave it up.
Think about it now, doesn't it? You don't even have to make it conscious.
That's just like a really simple bit of how powerful this is. This is just a really simple demonstration. I thought the toilet seat was actually quite funny. But look, we want to go to the next slide, because the next slide is really what we're gonna, where we want to get you.
I know we do.
Yeah, but babe, let's do the last slide and then finish up with just opening everybody up, because we've only got about 10 minutes and just want to have So look, this is, I'm gonna let Lauren explain this part, because you know, as a Reiki master, her understanding of the chakra system is I mean, for me, yes. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more. So when we're in the human condition, we're very much down here in the negative thoughts, negative beliefs. Here is where fear is running our lives. And
that survival mode, all of these unconscious, and you know, we were saying about the collective consciousness. That collective consciousness is in like a 3D reality. It's like, it is what you see, kind of, you know, it's just a 3D way of living, and it is very fear-based. As you know, the media are trying to keep us in that fear base, and you know, with everything going on at the moment, it's very hard to not feel this fear, because it's everywhere. You can't get away from it. So actually detaching and you actually doing this work, I would say straight away, guys, like anything fear-based, let's detach from, like the news and stuff, anything that's trying to keep us in these lower vibrations, we want to detach from and start doing our own inner work. So yeah, any fear, any guilt, any shame, these are the blocks of our lower chakras. So we have the root chakra, which is fear. We have the sacral chakra, which is guilt. And we have the yellow chakra, which is the solar plexus, which is shame. And these are the heaviest vibrations that, you know, any negative thought, you know, like we feel about ourselves, for example, I don't feel good enough, I don't feel worthy. This is shame. This is like not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough, it's your relationship with yourself. So anything negative you're talking about yourself is because you feel shame. And anything that so guilt blocks the pleasures of life. So you enjoying life, you feeling all of these feelings, you are not feeling them because your sacral chakra is blocked. And this is why you're in that heavy vibration of, I just feel guilty. And what happens when you're guilty? You actually end up self-sabotaging your own life, keeping in suffering. You end up suffering naturally. You don't even have to unconsciously actually suffering, because you're just punishing yourself for something that you feel guilty of. So you feel not worthy of a good relationship, or you don't feel worthy of a better life because
We
there's
don't feel
some guilt.
worthy of money.
You
Yeah.
don't feel worthy of money because you are feeling guilty. And all of these shame and guilt, it all does actually stem from a fear of safety, a fear of abandonment, a fear of rejection. Like, yeah, we don't feel good enough for someone is a fear. We're not good enough, you know. So actually fear is like the root cause of all of our suffering, and then everything else just stems from that, and it blocks our chakras. But yeah, so these are the lower vibrations of human conditioning that we end up, which we're trying to break free from now, and everyone is on this healing journey.
This is what we're healing,
and we are healing these three basically, because once we heal these three, bam, what happens with fear? Any fear, if these are the three things you want to write down: fear, we surrender control, we surrender. Our life is going to end when our life is going to end. God's plan. Like, we have no clue when our life is over, you know, and you cannot control when you're going to die. The only thing you can control is your health, your well-being, and pretty much the only thing you control is you and how you respond. So let's work on our health, and that's all we can do. Be aware when you cross the road, guys. That's pretty much it. It's just
change what you can control and let go of what you can't.
Yeah, exactly. Do what you can, release what you can't. So yes, surrender, fear. Guilt. We want to release guilt by forgiving ourselves. If you have been holding guilt, you have to understand that you can hold that guilt, but you will still be in a lower vibration. So any guilt, we want you guys to actually start addressing in your day-to-day. Just try and think about the things you've been guilty of for, and write them down, make them conscious, okay? And then also any shames, any feelings of unworthiness, we want you guys to start writing down, start taking acknowledgement of the things that you feel ashamed about, okay? And then once we accept shame, we forgive guilt, and we surrender fear, we come into a state of acceptance, okay? We are, as soon as we accept, we can't control that person from doing something, whatever, yeah, we can't control it, so we surrender it, we accept it, bam. The state of acceptance actually instantly raises us to the fourth dimension. It raises us, our frequency, into this state of love, acceptance, and forgiveness. And that's what other people, we are starting to see. A lot of people are coming up into this fourth dimension, which is great, because every time they find a go down, they come into a state of acceptance. But this takes practice, going down into those lower vibrations, letting them come to surface, and then accepting them, forgiving them, letting them go. And that brings you to the fourth dimension, the appreciation of the life around you. It allows you to have more self-love. And then when we are in line with that, and we are in pure love, so now we've started to accept and forgive, we then raise into the feelings of joy, peace, and enlightenment.
So what we're looking to do first is we're looking to come to here as like a balancing. Love is where we balance. We get to this state of, and we've put here self-love, okay? So through acceptance and through forgiveness of these lower problems that we're carrying, whether it's shame, guilt, or fear, through acceptance and forgiveness of these problems, we come into love. Now, when we're in a state of self-love, this is when we've gone through this work. But as we enter a state of self-love, now we begin to access the higher states. So as we come into self-love, we then come into purpose. Over here, I've written, as we come into love, we're coming into alignment.
We then connect. We connect that alignment, and then suddenly, I'm telling you right now, we've been in this, haven't we? In between love and joy, because we were saying, where do we average?
Where do we average? I'm always scale? Like here, peace, joy, and love.
And we are really in that. But before I met this one, I was in the state of love, acceptance, and forgiveness.
And that's where
where we met. So bringing yourself into a state of love, acceptance, forgiveness on a, like, once you've dealt with all your shame or your guilt or your fear. It took me 3 years. It did take me 3 years to really start understanding, but I didn't have me teaching me, and I didn't really have any teachers either. So I did this all on my own.
And the same as I did.
But now we actually have the knowledge of how to get there. We're hoping you guys can do the work to get there a lot quicker than
and obviously we're going to provide a platform for everybody to do this together if that's what you wish to do. So look, we're going to cap it off here, but this is basically, this is in a nutshell, what we aim to do with the people that we're helping or the people that we're providing information, we're bringing you up from down here, which is your negative thoughts and beliefs, into a state of love, which is acceptance and forgiveness. And once you've made this more of a stable ground in yourself, then these naturally begin to open up. So you become more joyous, your life becomes more peaceful, you find purpose, you have alignment. Now you're really coming up, you're coming up into your higher self, your soul, what you originally incarnated, or what you was originally always supposed to be. This down here, this human condition, that is the same everybody's carrying. This up here is where you accelerate as a pure expression of life, where all of your diversities are, and where all of your gifts are. All of your gifts are up in this place here. So the aim of the course really is this purpose here in a nutshell. But look, we're going to open you all up because we've got about 5 more minutes. We're going to call and we're going to cut this off. But let's have a little chat, just see how people took it.
Where are we? I don't even have to open it. Oh yeah, stop share. Dum, dum, dum.
But what we would like to do in future sessions is we're really going to open up the platform. So, you know, if somebody's got something they want to bring, because if somebody has a question, that question somebody might think is personal, but could actually be really good for the whole group. So we're going to start opening up where we can really talk to people, bring them on. And
yeah, but let's just answer a couple of just before we go, because we did start about 5-10 minutes later. So negative thought that I regularly is, for example, I've had a bad experience, I fall out with a friend, etc. I just seem to go over and over it. So you don't let, so there's something you're not letting go. And that is where we want to get you into that state of acceptance. It's like, if there's release, that's the big term, release what you can't and do what you can. If she doesn't want to talk to you again, or whatever whatever she's going through, like, and she's not forgiving you, you have to forgive yourself, okay? And once you forgive yourself, you know the next person that comes along, you won't make the same mistake. If you learn the same mistake, if you learn the mistake, the lesson won't be repeated. But if you continually find yourself in a cycle of doing this, you need to start questioning, well, what am I doing wrong? What's triggering? What am I doing? So it's just really questioning yourself, okay? And you've got to let it. I know you're saying you can't let it go, but if you keep telling yourself you can't let it go, you ain't going to let it go. If that's how you feel inside, that you want to hold on, keep holding on, but see how far it will get you. You have to start.
No, that's cool. I'll just say the only reason you're holding on is because you're holding on to the hurt, because you think holding on to that hurt's going to keep you safe.
You're punishing yourself because you feel guilty. You get it. You see what you're doing.
It's not just that, but if a lot of us we hold on to hurt because it keeps us safe. Like in instance, if you was rejected as a child, then holding on to rejection stops you coming forward and being hurt further. So a lot of what we're doing is we're actually holding on to the hurt because we believe it serves us.
And look, you failed as a mother but ask yourself, that's the thought you have, but have you really? Do you know what I mean? When you're in alignment, have you really failed? Is it just when that fear comes up, you suddenly you relate to an experience where maybe you reacted to a child, you overreacted, or you were overly critical, or you took your own anger out on the child? What happens we'll go into childhood conditioning throughout the course, and we actually have to go through the stages, but when we feel guilty, we blame. So we actually end up accusing our children. Well, it's your fault, you done that, but actually we know this is that whoever blames is actually guilty, and it's such an easier thing to do, to just, when you're angry and you're feeling that resentment, you're just like, you just go and you attack, and you can do it. So if that experience that you felt, and then afterwards you felt guilty, you're like, oh my God, I talked to my child like that, there's that sort of experience you keep relating to. So just find out what thoughts and where you actually felt like you failed your child. Just go into it. Just go to a moment, go to a memory that is stored in your memories, that's in your subconscious, that you keep relating to. Find it, and then you can
uproot it.
Yeah, you can let it go.
And then we've got another. What's that? Every time something triggers, makes me negative. Whenever you're getting triggered, journal. Whenever you're feeling negative, journal.
Aww, love you, Kirsty. It's such a nice message. I feel so emotional being part of this.
All I want everybody to take away.
For you guys, like even joining.
Yeah, exactly. But I want you all to take away. This takes time. This is a process. But I want to tell you that when you take this process on, your life will just get better and better and better, and your internal reality gets better and more harmonious and more peaceful and more beautiful. You're not going to just get it like that. We're talking about thousands of years of human conditioning. You have a part to play by you know, taking the time to work. Don't be harsh on yourself. Always continue to be in a state of, don't judge yourself all the time, but be in a state of being open to learning and
Yeah.
challenging.
So then this one, feeling so lazy. I had a client actually today, exactly the same. She was like, oh, but I just don't want to do anything. I'm so unmotivated. Accept it. State of acceptance
Brings you up the
brings
love
you
straight
up
away.
brings you up straight away. You know what? You know, I've said to the girls I've had at my courses, I'm like, you know what, tomorrow, please do fuck all. Sorry, excuse my French, but don't do anything. Just literally be okay
With
by
not
just
doing-
being.
yeah.
We are human beings, guys. We are not human doings. We don't have to keep doing all the time, because it's just going to run ourselves to the ground, make us stressed, and then make us probably so stressed that we become depressed. That is our body trying to give us deep rest. Our bodies need to rest. They need to just let life work for you guys. And if there's an opportunity that comes up, be motivated. Give yourself a week off. If you're feeling like that, accept it. And trust me, as soon as you accept it, and this is what we done the other day, we're like, right, we're gonna have a day off and do nothing. What happened? Oh, ideas, downloads. We were like, shit, we got to do something. Now it's like all this information's coming in, and it's like we end up doing something because we release the pressure of having to do something, and it happens instantly. So yeah, do not let that.
The first thing that you should be looking to do is to release resistance. The first grand you should always be looking to achieve is bringing yourself to a stable, even when you come into acceptance allows you to raise up, allows you to begin to feel better. Even if you can't accept something, can't accept that you can't accept, and even that will bring you up. So it's all about finding that ground that allows us to raise in frequency, allows us to come up and look at it from a better perspective.
And so the course, so yeah, guys, we'll let you know, we're still completing it. We're getting downloads every day, realizations every day. So we are improving this course, and we're just going over it to make sure it's all really structured so you guys can really understand it. We haven't set an actual final price, but we're looking around the 100 mark. So because it is an intense course, it's interactive, it's you guys actually journaling. We give you, it's deep, guys, but it's pretty amazing. But we are offering these masterclasses every single Thursday, the same time every Thursday. And what we're going to do is go through the course until we get to the end, and then we're going to restart. So it'll be like a 6-week program for these courses. The first 2 obviously are free, and if you want to continue, we finish the course and then we restart over, and that's how we kind of want to do it, right? So yeah, just to give you guys a bit more of an idea where we're going with it. Every class will be different.
The more information you take on, you're receiving subconsciously, even if you're not aware that you're consciously even taking this in. So when you actually access or are, you know, in the resonance of this kind of information, this will begin to work in your life. You'll automatically, even from this one session of being with us, you'll automatically begin to see this come to more realization in your conscious mind. But look, I've absolutely loved, and the response that we've had today, I mean, to like 25, 26, 27 people, amazing. So thank you all for tuning in.
And we would really appreciate if you guys, if you did enjoy, to share it with your friends, even do a little post for us. We would appreciate it so much.
We would appreciate that more than anything. If you could just help share on social media.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that a lot.
But
yeah, we are doing conscious talks obviously every Monday as well, so you can just tune in on our IG self-transformation on our live. We just talk about random stuff about consciousness and conscious relationships and everything. And on Sunday you're all welcome to come to our Reiki meditation class to actually experience the Reiki and the meditation, to help you guys heal, to help you become more conscious, and start this journey for self-transformation. So thank you guys.
We would love to see you all on Sunday. But
and
thank you all for tuning in, and feel free, well, it'd actually greatly help if you could share anything that's relatable to self-transformation and what me and Lauren are doing. Anyway, guys, we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you all for tuning in. Much love to everybody.
You guys can exit whenever you want. We'll just hover here. Anyone who wants to stay and chat, I'm gonna unmute you. You can stay and chat, but those who want to go can go.
Thank you so much.
Oh, pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Yay, thank you so much for coming. Love. Yeah,
thank you guys
as well.
That was amazing.
Where are you?
Hey,
where are you? There you are. How are you?
Me,
How are you?
I'm amazing.
Right, thank you.
How's your healing journey going? Good?
Yeah, I feel incredible. Do you
Good.
know what? Even today,
Yeah.
so obviously, Tia being mixed race, seeing all that, waking up and seeing all this Trump thing.
Oh,
Normally, I'd be Facebook, this, that,
On
and
it.
the other.
Reacting.
Do you know what I did? I just
Nothing.
deleted my Facebook for a couple of hours.
Yeah,
Love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
You're
You
yeah.
know what? I didn't need to see all the plonkers.
Why?
And do you know
Why react?
What's the point?
What's the
Could be
point?
bothered.
It just
And my
attracts more
mum
bad
was like-
energy, right? Yeah.
My mum was
You
like,
know
I
what,
don't know
that's such a good
meditation is
thing.
doing. Huh?
It's so hard for people not to get caught because when
Yeah.
you see something, when you're having a reaction, you're taking it personally.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you're able to step outside of your reactions, that means you're no longer taking shit personally. When you're not taking stuff personally, you're
No
now
one can
more
affect
free. You're becoming more free in yourself because you're not
Yeah.
being moved by other people. Like
It's not triggering it.
I don't watch the news. I don't read
No.
anything negative because it just doesn't even reach my frequency anymore.
Yeah.
It's, you
No.
know, that's a really good step. So I'm very
You ready for
grateful.
level Emma, Emma, you look like a different person.
She does, doesn't
Hey,
she?
do I?
Seeing you on the
Because I've got
screen.
no makeup on, no
No.
lashes.
No, but just the way it's just mind blowing because
Yeah.
I've seen you through, no offense, bad times, good times.
Well, that's
bad
what I
times.
mean, Caris.
And then-
You've seen me through it all.
But
Yeah.
I think I've seen you when we put a mask on, you take the mask off, you put a mask on,
Yeah.
you take the mask off. But there's like no mask,
There's no mask.
either on or off.
You give me
Like the most
goosebumps, Emma. Your story is just.
Weirdest thing. I'm just blown away. I can't really
Well, you're ready.
fathom. I
Next,
can't
Gary,
really
level 1.
pardon.
End of the
Yeah,
month.
yeah, yeah, definitely. But I just feel like I don't know what's going to happen. I'm so excited to the point of like I'm going to burst, but I'm so nervous. To the
You
point
just
I'm
got to
gonna
let it
feel.
happen.
You just know
Wee
your life's
myself
going to
at the
transform
same
now.
time.
Like you're doing level 1, and you've booked on level 2, haven't you? Or
Yes,
yeah, you've done level 2.
yeah.
You're doing level 2 straight after. Amazing.
Yes.
It's just gonna, Emma, Caris is doing level 2 with you on the 7th.
And the other
And
Emma we've
we've
got,
got another Emma here.
who's amazing, who's been
Wait, let's
following me
let's
for ages,
let's
and
unmute you.
she's
Hello,
an
Emma.
absolute star. How are you, Emma?
Wait, unmute.
I'm
Yes,
good. I'm enjoying this. I'm taking it all in.
Oh, good.
It's wonderful energy. I love this so much.
Oh, I'm so
Good,
pleased.
I've been on Dave and Tom's lives before, and then Lauren popped in out of nowhere. The universe was like, "Here you go."
Even I was like,
Bam.
wow, okay,
I
yeah, cool.
dropped in.
Yeah. And and I backed off because I thought I didn't know you guys were gonna be so transparent. I really thought Dave was gonna be like, I've got a girlfriend now, I've got to go. Like, no, we've watched the entire
Everything.
Oh, that's
man,
so
I've
lovely.
shared everything.
Yeah.
We haven't held nothing back.
Yeah, we don't want to hold anything
No,
back. We
it's
are
beautiful.
transparent. We have nothing to hide. Like,
Keep it
I'm
as
not
real as
ashamed about my
possible.
past. I will tell everyone about my past.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed of it. I just think, you know what?